The Great Rejection Captain Elena Torres stood before the massive observation window of Proxima Station, watching the swirling nebula beyond cast purple and gold light across the diplomatic facility. The station had been built specifically for moments like this, where representatives from across the galaxy could meet in neutral territory. Today marked the most important day in human history, and Elena could feel the weight of her entire species resting on her shoulders. Behind her, the great assembly hall buzzed with the voices, clicks, hums, and electronic sounds of 23 different alien species. Each delegation sat in specially designed sections that accommodated their unique biological needs. The crystalline beings required intense heat lamps, while the aquatic nephti sat in pressurized water tanks. The insectoid Vraxth communicated through rapid antenna movements, and the energy-based lumina flickered in patterns of light that translated into speech. Elena had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. 3 years of learning alien languages, studying diplomatic protocols, and building relationships with species that had been traveling between stars when humans were still discovering fire. She wore her dress uniform proudly, the blue fabric, bearing the insignia of Earth's United Nations Space Command. Her short black hair was pulled back in regulation style, and her brown eyes held the steady confidence of someone who had commanded starships through asteroid fields and political negotiations with equal skill. The ceremonial chime rang through. The assembly and High Chancellor Zixth of the crystalline hegemony rose from his heated platform. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his body resembled living diamond with internal light that pulsed with his emotions. Currently, those pulses were slow and cold, indicating formal displeasure. As the senior member of the Stellar Federation Council, Zixith had the honor of delivering verdicts on membership applications. Representatives of the galactic community, Sixth began, his voice creating harmonic resonances that the translation devices converted into words. We have gathered to consider the application of the species known as humanity for full membership in our Federation. Elena straightened her shoulders. For 50 years, humans had held associate status, allowed to trade and interact with Federation. Species but excluded from the decision-making processes that shaped galactic policy. Earth's colonies had grown to span 12 star systems, and human technology had proven itself valuable in countless cooperative ventures. The time had come to take their place as equals among the stars. The human species has demonstrated certain capabilities, Zixth continued, his crystalline form now pulsing with yellow light that indicated careful consideration. Their engineering skills are adequate. Their trade practices are generally honest. Their military has provided assistance during several minor conflicts. Elena allowed herself a small smile. This sounded promising. The human fleet had helped defend 3 different worlds from pirate attacks just in the past year. Surely that counted for something. But then Zixith's light shifted to deep red, and Elena's heart began to sink. However, the Chancellor continued, the species exhibits characteristics that make them unsuitable for full Federation membership. Their governments change too frequently, making long-term agreements impossible. Their population reproduces at an alarming rate, suggesting future resource conflicts. Most concerning of all, they display aggressive tendencies that threaten the peaceful nature of our alliance. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The bird-like Averthi chirped their approval. The slug-like mollusca made wet slapping sounds against their environment suits. Even the normally neutral synthetic collective flickered their optical sensors in what Elena had learned was their version of nodding. Elena felt her cheeks burn with anger, but forced herself to remain calm. This was not over yet. Each species would have the opportunity to voice their position before the final vote. One by one, the delegation spoke. The Vraxth complained that human mining operations were too efficient, disrupting established economic patterns. The Nephti worried. that human exploration fleets were mapping too many new systems, potentially destabilizing territorial boundaries. The Lumina expressed concern about human military doctrine, which emphasized rapid response and overwhelming force rather than the mind. Federation's preferred approach of gradual escalation and negotiated settlements. When Elena's turn came to speak, she rose with the dignity her species deserved. She looked around the assembly, meeting the eyes, optical sensors, and various other sensory organs of beings who had once welcomed humanity as partners. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. "I have listened to your concerns, and I understand your fears. Yes, humans are different from your species. We change quickly because we believe. That growth requires adaptation. We explore rapidly because we believe the universe holds wonders worth discovering. We defend ourselves decisively because we believe that those who threaten peace should face immediate consequences." She paused, letting her words settle before continuing. "But these differences have been our strength, not our weakness. When the Borathi pirates threatened the mining colonies in the Kepler system, who responded in time to save those worlds? When the plasma storms threatened to destroy the research station at Wolf 359, who developed the shield technology that protected your scientists? When the Vrath faced famine after their homeworld's ecological collapse, who shared our agricultural techniques to help them survive?" A few delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Elena could see that some were reconsidering their positions, but the majority still radiated disapproval. High Chancellor Zigzith's crystalline form pulsed with impatient orange light. "Captain Torres, humanity's actions in these situations, while appreciated, only serve to demonstrate the concerning pattern we have identified. Your species consistently acts without consulting the proper authorities. You make decisions based on immediate circumstances rather than long-term stability. This behavior may seem heroic, but it undermines the careful balance that has maintained galactic peace for over 2,000 years." Elena felt her diplomatic training warring with her human instincts. The careful, measured response her instructors had drilled into her fought against the fire burning in her chest. The fire won. "With respect, Chancellor, perhaps the reason your balance has lasted so long is because it never faces real challenges. When someone needs help, humans act. When someone threatens innocent people, humans fight. When someone discovers something amazing, humans share it. If that makes us too dangerous for your Federation, then perhaps we never belonged here in the first place." The assembly erupted. The crystalline delegation blazed with angry red light. The Avathi screeched their outrage. The synthetic collective processed the statement with rapid optical flickers that indicated alarm. Only a few species remained quiet, and Elena noticed that some of them seemed more thoughtful than upset. Zixith raised one of his angular arms, and the chamber fell silent. His internal light had shifted to the deep purple that indicated final judgment. "The vote will now be taken," he announced. "All those in favor of granting full Federation membership to humanity." Elena watched as the delegates indicated their positions according to their species' customs. 3 delegations out of 23 voted in favor. The mollusca, surprisingly, had supported humanity. The insectoid Karathe, who valued efficiency above all else, had also voted yes. The third positive vote came from the Wanderer fleet, a nomadic people who understood the value of adaptability. "The motion fails," Zixth declared. "Furthermore, this council finds that humanity's continued presence in Federation space poses a potential threat to galactic stability. All human colonies and installations must be removed from Federation territory within 10 standard years." Elena stared at the Chancellor in shock. This was not just a rejection of membership. This was exile. Banishment from the galaxy they had called home for 2 generations. You are casting out the one species that has consistently put the welfare of others before their own interests, Elena said, her voice steady despite the earthquake of emotions. Inside her, but very well, humanity accepts your judgment. She straightened her uniform and looked around the assembly one final time. But let me leave you with this thought. You fear us because we are different. You exile us because we do not fit your careful patterns. You believe that removing us will make your galaxy safer and more stable. I think you are making the greatest mistake in Federation history. Elena began walking toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the suddenly quiet chamber. Asterisk. We came to you as students, eager to learn and contribute. We offered our friendship, our technology, our protection. You have rejected all of it because you prefer the comfort of predictability to the challenge of growth. So be it, but do not be surprised when the students you cast out become the teachers the galaxy never knew it needed. The massive doors of the assembly hall closed behind Elena with a sound like thunder. In the corridor beyond, she found Admiral Chun Wei waiting for her. The graying Chinese man had been her mentor at the Space Academy and her closest friend. For over 20 years, his weathered face showed no surprise at the outcome. How much did you hear? Elena asked. All of it, Chun replied. The communications array picked up everything. Dr. Okafor is already running the calculations. Dr. Maya Okafor was Earth's chief scientist and strategic planner, a brilliant Nigerian woman who could see patterns and possibilities that escaped everyone else. If she was running calculations, it meant humanity was already planning their next move. What are we looking at? Elena asked as they walked toward the docking bay where their ship waited. 12 human colonies in Federation space, with a combined population of 47 million people, Chun recited from memory. 14 mining operations, 6 research stations, and 3 major shipyards. Moving everything will be the largest logistical operation in human history. Elena stopped walking and turned to face her old friend. Chun, what if we do not just move? What if we build something better? The Admiral's eyes brightened with understanding. You are thinking about the Outer Rim territories, the systems beyond Federation borders. I am thinking about the fact that the Federation just made their biggest strategic error ever, Elena replied. They are worried about human aggression and expansion. Wait until they see what we can accomplish when we are not held back by their rules and limitations. As their shuttle departed Proxima Station, Elena watched the diplomatic facility shrink behind them. Somewhere in that station, 23 alien species were probably congratulating themselves on avoiding a potential problem. They had no idea that they had just unleashed humanity's greatest strength, the ability to turn rejection into determination, exile into opportunity, and isolation into independence. The 10-year countdown had begun. In a decade, every human would be gone from Federation space. But Elena suspected that when those 10 years were over, the galaxy would look very different than anyone expected. Humanity had been given the ultimate challenge, and if there was one thing the Federation should have learned about humans by now, it was that they thrived on challenges that everyone else considered impossible. The journey back to Earth would take 3 days. Elena planned to use every minute of that time preparing for the greatest undertaking in human history. They had 10 years to not just relocate their people, but to build something that would make the Federation realize exactly what they had thrown away. As the stars stretched into lines around their ship, Elena smiled for the first time since entering the assembly hall. The Federation thought they were getting rid of a problem. Instead, they had just freed humanity to become everything they were meant to be. The Phoenix Rising 8 years had passed since humanity's exile from Federation space, and Commander Marcus Vale stood on the bridge of the flagship Terra's Pride, watching the most magnificent sight in the known galaxy. Before him stretched the Terran Commonwealth, a network of lights that spanned 50 star systems and represented the dreams of every human who had ever looked up at the night sky. The transformation had been nothing short of miraculous. What began as a desperate evacuation had become the greatest expansion in human history. The Outer Rim territories, once considered too dangerous and resource-poor for Federation interest, now bustled with activity as human colonies turned barren. Worlds into gardens and empty space into bustling trade routes. Marcus had been a young lieutenant when Captain Torres delivered her defiant speech at Proxima Station. Now, at 35, he commanded the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. His ships bore little resemblance to the vessels that had once served alongside Federation forces. Human engineering, freed from the restrictive safety protocols and standardization requirements of their former allies, had produced starships that were faster, more versatile, and more powerful than anything currently in galactic service. Commander, called Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the communications station, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth Central Command. Put it through, Marcus replied. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the face of Ambassador. Kira Singh, the former Federation translator, had become humanity's chief diplomatic officer, responsible for managing relationships with the growing number of alien species who had chosen to join the OIN Commonwealth rather than remain under Federation. Rule. Marcus, we have a situation, Kara began without preamble. Our long-range sensors have detected massive energy signatures moving through the galactic void. The pattern matches nothing in our databases, but the power output suggests a fleet of enormous proportions. Marcus frowned. Hostile? Unknown, but concerning. More importantly, their trajectory will bring them into contact with Federation space in approximately 6 months. We have intercepted emergency transmissions from several Federation worlds requesting immediate assistance. The irony was not lost on Marcus. 8 years ago, these same worlds had celebrated humanity's exile. Now they were begging for help from the species they had cast out. What does Earth Command recommend? Marcus asked. President Shun has called an emergency session of the Commonwealth Council. All sector commanders are requested to attend immediately. We need to decide how humanity will respond to this crisis. The transmission ended, and Marcus turned to his navigation officer. Set course for Earth. Maximum velocity. As the Terra's Pride engaged its quantum drive system, Marcus reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. The evacuation from Federation space had been completed in just 7 years, 3 years ahead of schedule. But rather than simply relocating to the Outer Rim, humanity had done something unprecedented. They had invited others to join them. The first to arrive were the Karathi, the insectoid species that had supported humanity's Federation membership. Bid. Their queen, facing political pressure from other Federation members for her support of humans, had quietly moved her entire hive fleet to Commonwealth space. The Karathi brought with them revolutionary biotechnology and construction techniques that allowed humans to build cities that could adapt to any environment. Next came the Wanderer fleet, who found in humanity's nomadic expansion a kindred spirit they had never encountered among the settled Federation species. The Wanderers shared their knowledge of hidden jump routes and uncharted systems, allowing the Commonwealth to expand far more rapidly than anyone thought possible. But the most significant addition came 3 years ago, when an entire sector of the Mollusca civilization broke away from the Federation to join the Commonwealth. The Mollusca brought with them advanced medical technology and agricultural techniques that had solved food security issues across human space. Most recently, individual members of dozens of different species had sought asylum in Commonwealth territory. Scientists frustrated by Federation research restrictions, entrepreneurs stifled by bureaucratic trade regulations, and military officers who admired human tactical doctrine had all found new homes among the stars claimed by Earth's children. Result was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Terran Commonwealth was not just a human empire, but a true alliance of species united by shared values rather than political convenience. Worlds that had been lifeless rocks 8 years ago now hosted thriving cities where human children played alongside young Karathi, mollusca, and dozens of other species. Asterisk, the centerpiece of this transformation was New Geneva, the Commonwealth's capital city built in orbit around Earth. Unlike the ancient, rigid structures of Federation capitals, New Geneva was a living entity that grew and changed as needed. Entire districts could be reconfigured in days to accommodate new populations or technological innovations. Dr. Maya Okafor, now the Commonwealth's chief science officer, had led the development of technologies that made this rapid growth possible. Her teams had created fusion reactors that could power entire star systems, manufacturing facilities that could produce anything from starships to medical supplies in a matter of hours, and terraforming systems that could make any world suitable for multiple species simultaneously. But perhaps the most revolutionary development was in military technology. The Federation had always maintained that their slow, heavily armored vessels and gradual escalation protocols were the key to maintaining peace. Human military doctrine, shaped by centuries of rapid warfare on Earth, emphasized speed, flexibility, and overwhelming response to threats. The result was a Commonwealth fleet that could deploy anywhere in their territory within hours and bring to bear firepower that would have been unthinkable under Federation regulations. The Terra's Pride herself was a perfect example. Sleek, fast, and carrying enough weaponry to take on an entire Federation battle group. Asterisk. 3 days later, Marcus stood in the Commonwealth Council chambers in New Geneva, looking around at a sight that would have been impossible during humanity's Federation days. The circular chamber hosted representatives from over 30 different species, all of them partners in humanity's grand experiment. President Elena Chun, the former admiral who had taken over leadership of the Commonwealth 2 years ago, called the session to order. She had aged gracefully, her hair now silver, but her eyes still holding the fierce determination that had carried humanity through their exile. Fellow citizens, she began, using the title that every Commonwealth resident bore regardless of species. We face a decision that will define who we are as a civilization. The main display showed the massive energy signatures moving through space toward Federation territory. The scale was enormous, suggesting a fleet of thousands of vessels. Our analysis indicates these are the Void Hunters, a machine intelligence that was driven from this galaxy over 10,000 years ago by a coalition of species that included the ancestors of current Federation members, continued Dr. Okafor from her position at the science station. Their technology is approximately 2,000 years more advanced than current galactic standards. A murmur of concern rippled through the assembly. The reptilian delegate Thektar, who had defected from Federation service 5 years ago, raised one of his scaled hands. With respect, President Shun, why should the Commonwealth concern itself with Federation problems? They cast us out when we sought partnership. Let them face this threat with the same spirit of unity they showed us. Several other delegates made sounds of agreement. The Wanderer representative's translation device carried a tone of bitter satisfaction. As she spoke, the Federation believed they could maintain their perfect peace by excluding those who might disturb it. Perhaps they will learn the value of warriors when their diplomats prove inadequate against machines. But Ambassador Singh stood to address the assembly, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had negotiated with every major power in the galaxy. Fellow citizens, I understand the temptation to let the Federation face this crisis alone. They certainly showed us no mercy when we needed their acceptance. But we must ask ourselves, what kind of civilization do we want to be? She activated the holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Commonwealth territory appeared in blue, Federation space in green, and the approaching Void Hunter fleet in ominous red. If the Federation falls, we do not inherit a safer galaxy. We inherit a galaxy where machine intelligences have proven they can conquer anyone who opposes them. Today they threaten the Federation. Tomorrow they will come for us. Commander Vale found himself nodding in agreement. The strategic situation was clear to anyone with military experience. Furthermore, Singh continued, this crisis represents an opportunity. For 8 years, we have built a better way of life here in the Commonwealth. We have proven that different species can work together as equals, that rapid innovation and careful planning can coexist, that military strength and peaceful cooperation can reinforce each other. She paused, looking around the chamber at representatives, who had found in the Commonwealth something they never could have achieved under Federation rule. The Federation cast us out because they feared we would change them. Perhaps it is time to prove them right. The debate that followed lasted 18 hours. Some delegates argued for complete neutrality, others for limited assistance, and still, others for a full military alliance with their former oppressors. But gradually, a consensus emerged around a proposal that was uniquely human in its audacity. The Commonwealth would not simply defend Federation space. They would use this crisis as an opportunity to demonstrate that their way of life was superior. They would save the galaxy not through the Federation's slow, bureaucratic methods, but through rapid response, innovative tactics, and the kind of decisive action that had originally made the Federation nervous about human membership. President Chun called for the final vote as the debate wound down. All those in favor of Operation Phoenix Rising? The name was perfect, Marcus thought. Like the mythical bird, humanity would rise from the ashes of their exile stronger than ever before. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, the largest fleet in Commonwealth history was underway. Marcus found himself commanding not just human vessels, but Karathi bioships, Wanderer scout cruisers, and Mollusca support vessels, in a formation that represented everything this Commonwealth had achieved as they approached the edge of Federation. Space, long-range sensors began picking up the first signs of the Void Hunter fleet. The mechanical vessels were enormous, each one larger than a Commonwealth dreadnought, and there were thousands of them. They are targeting population centers first, reported the sensor officer. Standard machine intelligence protocol. Eliminate. Organic resistance, then claim resources. Marcus activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is command. We are about to enter combat with an enemy that believes organic life is a mistake to be corrected. They have chosen to threaten not just our former allies, but the principles that every species in this fleet has chosen to uphold. He paused, thinking of Captain Torres and her defiant speech 8 years ago. The Federation once told us we were too dangerous to be trusted with membership in their alliance. Today, we show them that they were wrong about the danger, but right about our power. We are not here to conquer or to gloat. We are here to prove that the Commonwealth way of life is worth defending. The first Void Hunter ships appeared on the tactical display, their dark hulls absorbing light like mechanical predators. They were headed directly for the Federation capital world. Asterisk. All ships, Marcus commanded, engage the enemy. Show them what happens when you threaten the galaxy that humanity calls home. The battle that followed would be remembered as the moment when the Commonwealth announced its arrival as a galactic power. Human tactics, alien technology, and the unshakable determination of people who had turned exile into opportunity combined to achieve what the Federation's 1,000-year military tradition could not. But more importantly, it was the moment when the galaxy learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their aggression or their unpredictability. It was their ability to inspire others to become more than they ever thought possible. 8 years ago, The Federation had cast out one species. Today, they were being saved by an alliance that included the best qualities of dozens of worlds, all united under the banner of a civilization that measured success not by the territory they controlled, but by the lives they protected and the dreams they made possible. The Commonwealth had risen from the ashes of rejection to become exactly what the galaxy needed. Not conquerors, but protectors. Not rulers, but leaders. Not the most feared civilization among the stars, but the most trusted. Asterisk.